So today we have a finance customer panel where we are going to talk about the role of financial automation and how it's a catalyst for wider business transformations. So when you talk about financial transformation or digitalization of finance, we actually see it in a very narrowed approach, narrowed spectrum of like how do you actually automate the financial operations. But more than that, the financial automation or transformation gives a kind of a wider business transformation. It actually changes the way you manage businesses, right? So I may say that because I work for the company and I have to say that, but they are the one who actually implement it, and they will be giving the real time case studies on like how they are doing it and how it impacted the business, how Zoho Finance implementation has changed the way they operate business and everything. So without much of talking, so I will request each one of the panel members to introduce themselves, starting with James. And we have two James here. All right. We have James Jacoby and we have James Martin. So starting with you, James, first. Yeah.
I'm James Jacoby, Chief Operations Officer for Clarity Cosmetics Incorporated. We're a hair care, skincare company. Technically a new startup. We started 7 years ago with three products. And in today's world, we're on Amazon Canada, expanding internationally. We're also in Ulta stores, if everyone knows what Ulta stores are from a wholesale standpoint. We also are in 6,000 dermatologist doctors' offices that we distribute to. So we've gone from zero to where we are today and continue to grow and scale.
Thank you. Thank you, James. Georgia.
My name is Georgia Oliver. I am the financial controller for SC Datacom. We are a security implementer. We help coordinate and design systems for access points, theft detection, intruder. Just keeping your business safe is our job.
Thank you. And I think one thing James forgot to mention, he is also a teacher. To most of it, he actually teaches at university, so probably he missed that. I think he didn't find Fleming. He's a great speaker. Yeah, to James next.
James Martin, founder and CEO of Keystone Transport. We're based out of Central PA, and we deliver furniture direct to the consumer's home and also to stores. A lot of furniture we deliver is Amish-made furniture. And we're a faith-based family operation, and I have 5 boys.
Thank you, gentlemen. So to start with, so the first question, as I was saying, so what are the challenges you are facing before, like made you the decision of actually switch to Zoho Expense? What are the challenges you're facing before you're switching to Zoho Expense or Zoho Finance Feed? Right, starting with you, James. Yeah.
Well, you can imagine we started from ground zero. So we started with Zoho Books and Zoho Inventory, really the Zoho One module when we first initially started. About 9 months into our implementation, if that's what you'd like to call it, we decided we were going to do a second org. And we decided and went down the path on a second organization. And we thought that by doing that, we would start right and finish right. It just so happens January 1st, we went through our third org implementation. And so we've been challenged by that and really understanding all the capabilities of the books and inventory module and how you can utilize it to capture all your data. And really, we've changed to become books and inventory is really our system of record now, and have that capability of integrating other outside applications, but also internal applications into books and inventory. So it has been a very interesting journey to go from zero to, where we are today. And just give you an idea, we went from 30 orders a month to 8,000 orders a month and another 10,000 orders in Amazon, not including 10 orders we do a month from wholesalers, and then another 2,000 or 3,000 that come from dermatologist's office. And think about the challenges that we have of getting all that data and making sure, as my controller Lynn would say, going into the right chart of accounts, and then again, going to the right organizations and the right channels.
Thank you, James. Georgia, what about you? What is the final nail in the coffin which made you to, hey, now it's done, so I don't need to actually like digitalize whatever it is.
I think the biggest challenge for our company was that we were on different platforms. We were using QuickBooks, which is a very rudimentary accounting system and doesn't do all of the things that you truly need for really good business practices, and a different projects platform that didn't talk at all to the financial platform. So it was a challenge of nothing was connected. With Zoho, it allows us to be connected all the way around. And as we add different modules and as we do different things, it's allowed us to have all of our data in one place so that we're able to analyze where we are, where we're going, and the projects ties into that, because without projects, we can't function. We've got technicians out there in the field. We have project managers that need to be able to set up a project and implement that project and give that information to our techs out in the field. And if we don't have that area for them to do that, our business can't run. But if that part of our business is not connected to the financial side, it's a whole lot of extra work for us to get all of that data together and produce correct financials to grow our company and to figure out, what's next.
Thank you. That's to you, James. I think what is your reason? Like mainly from a finance angle, like what was that pain point which made you to shift to Zoho Finance Suite?
So we had similar problems. We had multiple systems. We were on QuickBooks. We had a custom order entry program we were trying to use that we lost support on. We had spreadsheets. We just had way too many disjointed systems. And I'm kind of an organized guy. I want everything at one place and one source of truth. And Zoho helped us get there in a very efficient manner.
Okay, thank you. So can we, because for the audience, can we get into specifics of any one particular automation or any particular tool with Zoho Finance Suite which helped you to actually transform the way you are handling certain processes, right? Is there any examples which you can highlight?
Yeah, the one that comes to my mind. So we're having trucks going out and making these furniture deliveries. So we have a routing and dispatch software that Zoho is able. We build our order entry system in Zoho CRM, and we're pushing that data out to the dispatch and tracking routing software. And when that driver says, "Hey, I'm completed this job. I delivered this furniture," it triggers the order back in Zoho CRM as finished. It triggers an invoice in Zoho Books automatically. All we got to do is open up the invoice, just review it, hit send, and we're done. And that allows us to scale tremendously without scaling overhead.
Thank you. What about you, Sajid?
I think the biggest thing for us is that from our sales team, they generate that estimate. That estimate is accepted. That gets put into a sales order. We're able to attach the information from the customer to the sales order, which then our inventory person can then, take that, order the product. The bills come in. We match the bill to the purchase order. And when the work is performed, we're able to convert that sales order to an invoice. Like it's all one big flow that happens that allows us to save a lot of time. Instead of creating each individual piece, they all feed into the next piece that happens.
Okay. I know, James, you are very passionate about Zoho inventory side of it. I think you will actually give an example related to
What I would say is that the capability to integrate multiple systems and really not disparate systems or disjointed systems, that you have the capability to have that one place from the data to be able to have your system of record for your inventory and understanding your, again, your physical stock versus your accounting stock, and understanding the phases, whether the merchandise is in transit or committed or other such things, and then have the capability of taking that and then reconciling it to your other systems, whether you have an e-commerce platform or you're working within an EDI capability, to all go into Zoho Books and inventory. And then take that the next step with other modules, and I know we're not here to talk about other modules, but the capability to report on it, analyze the data, and then make fact-based decisions. And I think that's the big capability of what you see of having Zoho Books and Inventory as your system of record.
Okay. So going back to the topics what we started with, financial transformation piece is fine, but how it helped you to transform the business? Do you have some hard facts and figures, James, in case of to saying that, okay, because of the transformation, what I did in my financial systems, this is the way my business got transformed. So probably in case of your bottom line, or is there any impact which you can share with the audience here?
I also function as a CFO. So one thing I like is we're having weekly financials. So this week here, we're going to know how we did in our financials last week. Most people do monthly. We do weekly because Zoho gives us the opportunity to fine tune it and have it accurate, up to date all the time. The only thing that we're waiting on is usually payroll. We wrap up payroll and we know exactly what our P&L is and our balance sheet is for last week. Be interested in knowing if anybody does it less often or more often than that.
Thank you. Is there any impact on the profitability side if you have calculated on?
Knowing our costs, having a budget, we are using Zoho, the budget to actual. It gives us instant visibility in what's going on. We also have trailing 12 months data. We actually built a dashboard with trailing 12-month data that gives you an insight into where the business is. Not, looking at P&L, it's what happened in the past. Looking at the trailing 12 months gives us an insight of where we're at now and which direction we're headed today. And the analytics dashboard is very, very helpful, tying that into Zoho Books.
Thanks. That's audible, Judge. Yeah. Can you give me an example of how it changed the business, right? In case of any hard facts and figures we can share, or exit the change to operate the business, how it helped the business to go to the next level. Because most people see this as kind of automating their finance and saving money in a very short term, but they don't look at how the transformation of the systems in the finance side of it will help you in taking the business to how the growth is impacted because of the change. So do you have any examples to share with them?
Absolutely. I think for us, it allows us it's allowed us to organize and know exactly what our numbers were. We have all of that hard data there. We're able to analyze it in different ways. I would say definitely based on, listen, sales goes out and does sales, and we are very dependent on them doing that. Our technicians go out and install the systems. If they don't do that well, we suffer for that. But all in all, what it has allowed us to do is to find out where we have holes and what's going on. And it has allowed us to, over a series of years, double and double and double our revenue. And part of that is because of really hard data that we're able to figure out where the problems are. How do we fix things? How do we fix margins? How do we sell better? If we're not selling, is it because we're asking too much, or is our margin too high? What do we need to operate?
Yeah. So you are saying that you had that visibility to actually fix up, where do you do better? So how do we improve the margins and everything? So that gave you a kind of an entire visibility part of it. What do you, James?
I'd say two ways. We manufacture our own products, so we buy our own components, we fill our own products, we put them in boxes and ship them from a manufacturer, contract manufacturer, to our 3PL or to Amazon. And with that capability, we implemented a forecasting and demand planning tool that pulls information out of Zoho Books. And I can tell you, today, based on revenues that are projected, how many components of each and every item I'm going to have for 2026, 2027, based on the revenues that are across the board. With that capability too is that because of Zoho Books and Inventory and what we've done, the headcount has stayed almost the same since what we've been started as we scaled. Yes, we've added headcount, but from our growth, we have a minimal headcount utilizing the tools that are available to us. And again, it goes back to inventory being right. If your inventory is right, it's pretty much a good bet your sales are gonna be fantastic too. So we've been very fortunate. We've taken every opportunity to try to better our systems, but at the same time utilize the tools that Zoho has that we can use to better our systems.
Okay. Apart from it, is there any examples of embracing even a small changes what you do in financing? Probably you are not even thought about it. Any small automation what you did with any of your processes which actually fetched your result, which you can share with the team. Any specific process improvements, which is very basic. Probably most of them would have not even, okay, probably they would have thought, okay, this is not that important to do a kind of a change. Anything very basic, if you have, any one of you can start with this thing, which surprised you. Probably it's threw you up. Okay, I never thought this kind of a basic transformation would have actually given me the results.
You want me to go?
Yeah.
It's the capability of taking orders that are coming in from an EDI platform and making sure that those orders are automatically running into the Zoho piece. And if anyone's doing wholesale and you're dealing with EDI, you can do a portal that's out there, but it's like a 4-step process. It's a very manual process. If you can automate that process, you can save 20, 30 hours a week. And just by doing that, and don't get me wrong, it was a huge headache and took about 8.5 months to do, okay, with the help of that EDI operator. But once we did it, it was like the lightning bolt hit, and we had the capability to do away with those manual processes. And it helped us immensely from an inventory standpoint, too. We didn't have to manually change something and put it into Zoho and Zoho Books.
Thank you. What do you think? Yeah. Anyone?
I think for us, and we had a discussion earlier about it, is if we put those sales orders in correctly and it's lined up the right way, the process after that is extremely streamlined. Our inventory manager goes in, creates POs already based on that sales order. He pulls it, puts the vendor name in, sends it off, does his thing, receives it. The bill comes in and the bill matches. And then when we get to the invoicing process, it's the same thing. You pull it right out of that sales order, and you just don't have to redo each step.
Yeah.
It's all there. It all talks to each other. And at the end, it makes it faster. I would say the second piece of that is Zoho Payments has made a difference, because when they pay, it automatically marks it paid in the system. It goes into the Zoho payment clearing. And then once it clears Zoho Payments, you just match it to the transaction of the bank. So that saves accounting a tremendous amount of time.
True. I think, James, if I'm right, you're also using Zoho Payments,
Yeah.
right? So
I was an early adopter of Zoho Payments. We were using Stripe before that, and you have another login, another thing to manage, a whole another system to manage. And as soon as I heard Zoho Payments was out, I went on board, and then I actually saved money on the processing charges as well. But the seamless integration. And I told one of the team here today, I don't even go into Zoho Payments anymore because everything happens automatically, and I get paid out every day. It's highly recommend Zoho Payments. One other thing I'll just share that it's such a small thing, but how many like to call customers for overdue payments? All your hands go up. You love calling. Yeah, you like it because you get the money, right? Well, we use the automatic notifications to our customers. If they're 5 days late, they get this email, and then if they're 10, then they're 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and the emails get stronger all the time. And that has reduced a lot of time calling customers. And sometimes they just overlooked it. Something went wrong. It's not always that they're trying to hold out on payments. It's just like they overlooked it or something went wrong. And oftentimes, if it gets down the list pretty far, then just an email. Hey, is this the right email address for sending invoices? And that usually gets a response. But just that simple automation that takes the administrative work off somebody. Time is money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one more thing, like even we build all these processes and transforming digitally, the piece which always James tell me is the people, right? So what is the knock-on effects with the people? Because as finance team members, we are always seen as back cops, right? We say, okay, they're always looking at numbers, number crunching people, they come always think. But when you actually make it clear with them, the kind of impact or knock-offs you have with your other team members, is there any example like the transformation of the process helped your other teams to actually perform better or see you a less bad cop?
Well, I think what I would say is the important thing is to prove to the organization what Zoho can do for you. And from the people aspect, if you can prove it on one side, and again, we have multiple departments in our organization, but if you can do that, then that gives you the capability of having that win.
Yeah.
And if people can acclimate themselves to the Zoho books and Zoho inventory or other Zoho modules, remember, it's that platform, right? So it's Zoho across the board. So you have that cross functionality, and you have that capability of collaboration across the board too. It's getting that win and getting everyone in your organization to believe in Zoho. And once you do that, it's just the first step of the process, and then it continues to grow.
Yeah, that's true. Like, because you may be actually onboarding it to Zoho Finance Suite,
Yep.
but you have to onboard every other departments to it, and they should be in the same boat as you do, right? Is there any examples, James, you have, like your team members complaining before, and then now they see the kind of a difference, and then probably given you credit? Mostly we don't get credit as financial team members, right? Like morning someone was saying, so the credit is only silence for us, right? So we are, the finance members always actually gets like silence as a credit. But is there something we can to share?
Well, I enjoy implementing new Zoho programs because I see what it's going to do for my business. But too often I fail to maybe take the time to explain to the team what we're doing, why we're doing, and get them involved early on in the process. I'm trying to do that better. But I had to think of the order entry system that we implemented last year. That was a major change for us from the system we went to. And of course, any new products, you're going to have your normal hiccups and challenges of implementing it. But down the road, if you get some thanks from some people that were your worst barriers against it, it makes you feel like, yeah, sometimes you have to plow ahead, even though maybe it's not the most popular thing to do.
Did Zoho Finance Suite make you popular in your company?
I always say that the finance people are the mean people. Like, nobody likes us. I think,
Hopefully we did something to actually make you famous in the company.
well, at least management loves me, so that helps. I think part of it, though, is taking data and showing it to them and how Zoho works and stuff. I think our project managers were really surprised when I came in and started running audits on projects and presented them this nice little sheet of all of this stuff. And they're like, well, how did you do that? And I'm like, it's all in Zoho. It's all there. And I think for them, but it has allowed them to understand where we're hitting and where we're missing. So did we miss on the sales side, or did we manage it incorrectly?
Yeah.
So where did we miss, and how do we prevent that from happening again? And if you don't have that information, you'll make the same mistake over and over and over.
Yeah, so there are no more silos between departments. You have a kind of a complete visibility across departments. You have data things. So actually, sometimes again they think, because now you put and talk to them with the data, so you they can't actually escape. So we are always mean finance team members. Then, and second thing, what I want to talk about, mainly focusing on the SMBs, right? So people who start the businesses, because every one of you started small, right? Now you are growing in a rate which is enviable to me, at least what the discussions I had. So for SMBs, the financial transformation or digitalizing the finance operations, they see it as a kind of a short-term investment, and they don't see that they see it as a cost, right? They don't see that they will get returns out of it. They don't see that it transforms the way they operate the business. So what is your suggestion or a kind of advice to them, like how should they see the financial transformation, or how should they see onboarding to Zoho Finance Suite? So not only they don't see it as a cost center, but also a kind of a long-term investment to take their business to the next level. James?
We're a perfect example. Again, new startup. Most new startups are so focused on driving volume, right? They need sales, and they want marketing, and they go after the other things, and look at your finance and your accounting side as, just we'll get to that. And that's one of the reasons why we were on our third org. It took us 2.5 years before we could really bring someone in to help us from the finance and accounting side. And so what I would say again is build it, the infrastructure in the beginning. have the same importance that you have on finance and accounting as you do on the marketing side. Because what ultimately happens is you grow the business and you don't grow the finance and accounting side, or you don't do the right things. I mean, we were talking about sales and use tax yesterday. Just imagine the penalties and everything else that you're going to incur because you don't dedicate the right resources to it. And I think it goes hand in hand. And again, that's the way you scale a business. I wish more owners, more entrepreneurs, and more co-founders would think like that. But sometimes they have to learn, right? And once they learn, then it's, oh my God, yes, we'll dedicate the right amount of resources to it. And I think they go hand in hand. Dedicate, right? Just like you're doing an integration or an implementation. Same thing with finance as you're going to do with other parts of the organization.
What about you, Shashi?
I think the biggest takeaway is invest in something that's going to save you money in the future. Maybe it's a bigger investment to put people on Zoho One now, but what it does is, because of the integration, add up all the subscriptions that you have to disjointed services, and you'll be surprised at what you're actually paying. You'll be really surprised, because I've sat there and like combed through our subscriptions account, and it is amazing to me what we pay, when you start adding all that up together. So you're paying for a lot of service in one platform that holds all of your data. And not only does that save you in subscriptions, but it saves you in personnel.
Yeah.
Because if you're
100%.
disjointed, it takes more people to put all the data into the different places.
Great comment.
So probably I think we should do a cost-benefit analysis pre-Zoho and post-Zoho, and then probably throw up some hard facts and figures to people, because exactly when I discuss with them, they see that's what my session yesterday on the enterprise. So for enterprise also, I was telling that start with what the business needs now, right? You start with something what your business needs. You can build the scales and going, but do something, because don't see it as a kind of a cost or an expense, but this will help you. And probably I think business owners like you probably should tell them the kind of impact and the profitability. I think on the discussion what we had, there's a direct impact of profitability and cost saving which it gave. So probably those kind of things will be there. Is there anything you wanted to share on the savings?
If you're in a platform where you have access to data like Zoho gives it to you, you will be able to use, when you think of, is this a cost or is this a profit center? If you're using the data to make good decisions in your day-to-day business, it'll be a profit center hands down. And I'm going to go off tangent just a little bit, because I have another business, heavy-duty truck repair, where we repaired fleets. Anyhow, we had to have QuickBooks Online to integrate with the shop software, which we hate QuickBooks Online.
Even you can say it. We use the name.
I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to use the name. But
No, we already used it. We've already used it 2-3 times, so there's no problem in using it. Probably I think it stays with it. We love them, right? There's nothing wrong, but probably we are better. That's it.
but simply on a value-based system, what you pay for Zoho, whether Zoho One, we're on Zoho One, or Zoho Books, it's hands down a higher value than anything out there. And I'll put it up against anything. And I'm not paid by Zoho to say this. This is just my personal experience. I'm using it in 3 or 4 business, and I have experience in other systems. But it's definitely it's a tool that can give you the data to help you make good decisions moving the business forward, and it should pay for itself over and over again.
Yeah. And finally, probably we can touch upon that, because most of you have spoken about the visibility what it give, right? And one more discussion they always have with the people who I see is that, okay, it's not about what data you have, how do you use the data, right? And how do you use the data, and how do you build the data to make advantages to your business? So probably can you throw some light on how you build your data to make it useful for you? Probably start building.
Yeah, so what I would say is consistency, to have consistent numbers. And what do I mean by that is that when I go back to the system of record, previous to this organization, I've worked for a number of organizations where I've been in a C-suite, and the chief marketing officer will bring a number in, and the chief, financial person will bring another number in, and they're saying to themselves, well, which number do we go by, and which one and and the chief merchandising officer pulled it out of one system, and the chief financial officer pulled it out of another system. So by utilizing books and inventory, it gives you a consistent numbers across the organization to make and hold accountability, right? And that's the point, is with the numbers and the correct numbers in the right places drive consistency to drive that accountability across the organization.
Okay. Anything from your side, Josh? Yeah.
I think the big thing is, though, no matter how good Zoho is and no matter how good all of this information is, you do have to be consistent in your entry of data.
Yeah,
And you do have to make
exactly.
sure that you
Yeah.
tie the right things together. So it goes about training your people to make sure. But as far as the data is concerned, we've done through these audits, we've tested the data.
Yeah.
We've tried to buck the data. We've tried to say this data isn't Zoho has the data. It's all there. It's all accessible. And Zoho doesn't gatekeep the data.
Yeah.
You allow us to we can dump whatever data we want out of the system and manipulate it any way we want to. And that's another money saver as far as that goes.
Yeah, that's a very key point. What you mentioned is that the input, the capturing of data. Two things. It takes a lot of time to capture if you do it manually. So that is where Zoho's finance suite is automated in capturing data, so that you don't depend on the manual intervention or the error which comes, which most of the people ignore probably, is things. The capture of data is very important for you to actually get the data in the way you want. So please try to automate most of the data in case of how do you capture it. Anything from you, James, on the kind of and in the kind of AI era, like the data should be AI enabled, right? So how do you handle the visibility and the data?
No, we again, garbage in, garbage out. But Zoho gives you access and availability of the data to use it any way you want. We have weekly leadership meetings, and we're reviewing the financials from the prior week, and we trust our data because we know, first of all, it's all encompassing across all platforms, and not just Zoho Books data, but Zoho CRM data, analytics data, which captures it across platform. You got to be able to trust your numbers. First of all, make sure your systems are putting good information in, and trust your numbers and make your decisions based off of those.
Thank you. Thank you. I think summing up whatever we said, because in case of these are three businesses who actually use the digitalization or transformation of finance and then seen the results heavily, and then they are actually probably they may not be able to share some numbers of the business. Probably they can tell you offline, but whatever I heard from them in my discussions with that, these are actually benchmark businesses, what they do in case of how you can utilize the right financial system to transfer your businesses. So these are great case studies, and I'm very happy that I could actually sit and converse with them and getting those insights. And I had more conversations with them offline, which actually gave me a lot of insights on to do what I have to do with the products and other things. So these are great examples, and thank you, gentlemen, and Georgia, for actually giving this insights. Thank you, everyone. Thanks.